What if a car could actually tell the difference between being tested in a laboratory and being driven on the open road? Just think about that. What if it knew exactly when it was being watched and then changed its behavior accordingly?
Well, this is not a hypothetical. This is not science fiction. This is software, and it was installed in 11 million cars. It worked perfectly for 7 years. Nobody even noticed. So how exactly does a machine learn to lie?
Chapter 1. The Device.
You see, this defeat device, it wasn't some physical trapdoor hidden under the hood. It was just code embedded deep inside the engine's computer. When the car's sensors detected a stationary steering wheel, specific speed patterns, and the exact engine load of an official emissions test, the software engaged a clean mode. It's like the software was a mask, and it knew exactly when to wear it. But the moment that test ended, normal mode resumed. During real open road driving, the car just abandoned the rules entirely. It was emitting up to 40 times the legal limit of nitrogen oxide. 40 times. All just to boost performance. Which leaves us with a pretty big question. How do you hide a secret of this magnitude across a global fleet for nearly a decade? Chapter 2. The 7 years. A conspiracy like this, it doesn't just happen overnight. It's a slow burn. Back in 2007, the component supplier Bosch actually warned Volkswagen in writing that bypassing emissions testing was illegal. By 2008, internal warnings were already circulating. And in May 2014, an internal memo reached CEO Martin Winterkorn himself, but the code was deployed anyway. Now, the initial corporate narrative tried to blame a few isolated, rogue software developers, but that was false. An internal probe leaked to Der Spiegel revealed that at least 30 senior managers were implicated. We're talking people like the head of engine development. This wasn't a glitch. It was a systemic corporate conspiracy. And the wild thing is, this wasn't broken by some massive government regulator or a corporate insider. It took a small, underfunded team of researchers at West Virginia University testing a rented car on the open road to finally find the code. So, what exactly happens when a multi-billion-dollar facade suddenly collapses? Chapter 3. The 48 Hours. It's September 22nd, 2015. The CEO of Volkswagen Group of America, Michael Horn, stands at a product launch in New York. He doesn't use corporate spin. He just says, "We have totally screwed up." The very next day, global CEO Martin Winterkorn issues a statement saying he is endlessly sorry. He then resigns. He states, "I am doing this in the interests of the company, even though I am not aware of any wrongdoing on my part." The market reaction was immediate. Company shares dropped 40% in just 2 days. 40%. But beyond the evaporating stock value, we have to look at the other side of his transaction. Who were the people actually driving these cars? Chapter 4. The 11 million. You have to remember, these were buyers who paid a premium for a vehicle marketed specifically as clean. They chose Volkswagen because they believed it was better for the environment. A BBC correspondent noted at the time, it was as if the British discovered the Queen had fixed the horse races at Ascot. 11 million cars, all of them sold with a lie. We're talking 8.5 million vehicles recalled in Europe, another 500,000 across the United States. It was a promise of clean diesel that the software actively subverted every single time the ignition turned. But what were the physical consequences of all those miles driven? Chapter 5. The Health Cost. This is where the dominoes really start falling, because these cars weren't just cheating a laboratory test. Out in daily real-world traffic, in actual cities, the nitrogen oxide levels exceeded the legal limit by up to 40 times. For years, they were poisoning the air that real people were breathing, and the cost was measured in human lives. A joint study by MIT and Harvard calculated 60 premature deaths attributable directly to the excess emissions from these specific vehicles. Just to put that scale into perspective, that translates to between 250,000 and 1 million extra tons of harmful nitrogen oxide pumped into the atmosphere every single year. So, who exactly was held responsible for this? Chapter 6. The Reckoning. The United States Department of Justice stepped in and indicted senior executives and engineers for their roles in a multi-year conspiracy. Men like Heinz Jakob Neusser, Jens Hadler, Richard Dorenkamp, Bernd Gottweiss, Oliver Schmidt, and Jürgen Peter. Audi CEO Rupert Stadler was eventually convicted and given a suspended sentence. Martin Winterkorn was charged with fraud in Germany, and right now he is still fighting extradition to the United States. Financially, the company paid over 31 billion euros in fines and expenses. They even sued their own former executives to try and recover damages. And yet, the company returned to profit within 2 years.
Today, Volkswagen is still one of the world's largest car manufacturers. Martin Winterkorn has never stood trial. The defeat device worked exactly as designed for 7 years, in 11 million cars, in cities across 4 continents. The software knew when it was being watched. The collapse ink doesn't tell you what to think about that. The 11 million cars already know.